everybody, it's your boy Gaming Forte. Welcome back to Destiny. So we're going to talk about the weapons that I believe are a must-have when the Forsaken DLC drops next month. We got about 3 weeks for you guys to go out and acquire these weapons if you don't have them. We're mostly going to talk about legendaries, but I will throw a few exotics in there just because exotics, mostly everybody's going to take those forward. But I will talk about the ones that I deem most important to have when the Forsaken DLC drops, just so you can hit the ground running and not have to deal with any type of year one content when Forsaken comes out, because nobody's about that life. The grind is going to be real to the light level 600, so let's get started. Now, the first weapon I'm talking about is Better Devils. As you guys can see, I love this weapon. I have two different versions of it. I have a PvP version and I have a PvE version. Now, the thing I love about this weapon the most is its balance. I love it in PvP because it's just, I feel like it's easier for me to control the recoil on it, even knowing the gun does feel like it has more weight to it. I believe this gun is a adaptive frame, I believe. Yes, it is. It's very well rounded and reliable. I love the way this gun feels when I use it. And the one thing I think Midnight Coup has over Better Devils is just the perk diversity in the weapon. So that is the first weapon that I would definitely say bring over with you. Now, with Better Devils being a gun that's going from year 1 to year 2, you're going to replace the one you have very fast. As soon as you get the role you want, you're going to replace it. The next weapon we're going to talk about is Ghost Primus. The only reason I'm bringing this over is because I want to have at least 1 to 2 weapons in every category when it comes to auto rifles, scout rifles, post rifles, all those weapons. I want to have at least one for every category that I can bring over, so I have a lot of different options to go to when I'm playing different content. Ghost Primus is one of those. 600 round RPM, adaptive frame. Like I said, once again, very well balanced. That's what I like about my weapons. I like them to be balanced. And this one has high impact reserve, so you deal more damage as you get to the closer ends of the magazine. That's a really good perk. It's also a raid weapon. Most raid weapons have a lot more perk diversity than the normal weapons just because they add that extra perk to it. So that's the main reason I'm bringing that over. Nameless Midnight, probably one of the staples when it comes to PvE content. Some people use it in PvP. I really like the precision frame on it. When you are using a scout rifle, you want to sit back and just plug at things. And Nameless Midnight allows you to do that just because those explosive rounds stagger enemies. It's really cool and it's really awesome to see. And once again, this is another weapon I'm just bringing just because I know I am going to replace it sooner or later. But I know in the beginning parts of Forsaken, this weapon is going to do work for me until I find that replacement to go with it. The next weapon we're going to talk about is the Purpose. Now, like I said earlier, I really throw some of these weapons in here just because I want to have diversity in the gameplay I have when Forsaken first releases. So this one right here gives me a little bit more freedom in the PvP side of it if I want to run a scout rifle that's not exotic, like the Might of Multi-Tool or something. So I feel like this is going to be a really good get, and it also has explosive rounds on it. So it's basically a Nameless Midnight, but it just doesn't have the adaptive frame. It has a precision frame, so it gives you more handling when you actually have it equipped. So next, Midnight Coup. Man, probably the best hand cannon in the game. Most people are going to say that this hand cannon out trumps the Better Devils, and they may be right. I just prefer the Better Devils more, but I'm not going to lie. When I do take the time to use the Midnight Coup, it feels solid, it feels accurate. Your bullets feel like they go where they need to go. And it's not as heavy because it's a lightweight frame, so you actually feel like you're able to zip around and get on target a little bit faster with it. So I really appreciate what this gun brings, and this is definitely a gun I'm gonna bring. And the reason that a lot of people don't understand that is because with these two perks right here, Rampage and Outlaw, what perk combination are you going to find at the very beginning, unless you're super lucky in Forsaken, that's going to give you these two perks that even trump those 3 perks or these 2 perks? So I think overall, this is going to probably be the go-to weapon for a lot of people when the DLC drops. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the Auto Win. Now, this gun is amazing in PvP. And let me tell you, I used this weapon during the Prestige raid when we had the modifier where we had to use pulse rifles as our kinetic slot. And this weapon did work. With that rapid frame and those deep ammo reserves, you chew through enemies, and it's a really good option for you to use just in your kinetic slot overall. Now, like I said earlier, don't forget those exotics. You do have the Crimson, that's a really good weapon you should take over. You also have Might of Multitude, that's really good, you should take over. Vigilance Wing is a beast right now. So all of these weapons are very viable in the meta today. So what is the meta going to be when Forsaken drops? That's what it's really going to come down to. As of right now, a lot of people are really liking that 3-tap hand cannon. People are going to be using bows. So there's going to be a lot of diversity in the game once Forsaken drops. And then we'll finally settle on that meta for our kinetic slots. And let's not forget, once we get down to the heavy spot, there is a bunch of weapons that are coming up to the kinetic spot that we'll talk about when we get down there. So let's move over to our energy slot. As you can see, I'm already hovering over one of my favorite ones, which is the Inaugural Address. This is by far, I believe, the one and only weapon you should be taking over the Forsaken over everything else. There is no other weapon, I believe, has the benefits of all the different perks that this gun has. This one has Kill Clip on it and it has Outlaw on it. If I can get a Void version, a Solar version, and an Arc version, I'll be happy. Because I believe all the weapons going to Forsaken doesn't even hold a candle to this weapon. This weapon is the one that I will be using the most in my energy slot. Now, once again, this weapon will get replaced, but until I find a weapon that does what this weapon does, I won't be replacing it. So you can get this in a raid. It's not hard to get. I had multiple ones of them and I'm mad that I've been deleting them because I really want to have 3 of these, one of each burn. This is the one weapon I think everybody should at least have one of, if not 2. Moving over to a lot of people's favorite, the Manananan SR4. This one right here, lightweight frame. It snipes people across the map. That range stat really doesn't matter on this gun. I taking people out from pretty far away in PvP and PvE content. It's a really good weapon. Now, this is one that I was thinking about if you want to have all 3 burns on. I would say you do, but you really don't have to. As long as you get one of them, you're fine. Lock it to the favorite type of element you like to use. I would say try to have some diversity between a lot of your weapons. Don't have all Void or all Solar or all Arc. You want to have something that you can go into the different content with to actually break these shields so you can take these enemies down faster. So Manananan, definitely a get. If you can get all 3, get all 3. It's one of those weapons that kind of deserves it, but it's not as needed compared to the Inaugural Address. Now, Darkest Before, I love this weapon. Before they buffed pulse rifles and made Graviton Lance just the most OP weapon that it is right now, which Bungie, good job, you're not nerfing things, you're bringing things up. Darkest Before was God tier. Love this weapon, loved it a lot. But ever since Graviton, I haven't ever played with it again. So with the TTK going up as fast as it is, this gun being a rapid frame and doing as much damage as it does in very quick succession, I think this is a weapon. If you don't have it, you should get it and you should take this over to Forsaken. This is a really good gun. I really enjoyed this gun and it's just cool to have, so do that. When it comes to auto rifles, Prosecutor, one of my favorites, not even the best. It just feels good to me. When I use this weapon, compared to like Uriel's Gift or the Number or even the Kabui, any of those weapons, this one just feels the best, especially in PvP. I don't know why it is, but I just really like the way this gun feels. 450 RPM, just feels good. The recoil is amazing. You can control it easily. When you slide, you get ammo back. It's cool. I like this weapon a lot. So this is another one that I would say you want to take over. Once again, you'll be replacing it, but don't replace it until you find something that's better than it. Soul Pariah. The reason I'm bringing this over, I like the 600 round per minute submachine guns. I want to have diversity in the weapon, so I want to have at least something in this category that's going to give me really quick burst damage up close, like an SMG. And this is one that did it. I used this once again in a raid, and this did work for me, and I really enjoyed this weapon. So Soul Pariah is another one I would bring if you have one. Now, when it comes to the next weapon, we have the Number. I added this one just because I wanted to have something that complemented the other auto rifles in the game. But if you have Prosecutor, Positive Outlook, or Uriel's Gift, the Number you really don't need. It's another weapon. It's not one of the better weapons, but it's a good weapon. So if you have this weapon, bring it forward. But if you have these other two, Urios and Positive, you can leave this one behind. Now, when it comes to this annual skate, the reason I like this is because of the adaptive frame. I like how well-rounded it is. That's an awesome thing for me. But the main reason I want this weapon is because it's a secondary weapon. With those snipers that I will be talking about later going to the primary slot, it will give me the opportunity to put a sniper here, equip annual address here, and then run a heavy shotgun. A very balanced loadout. You know, you can pick and choose where you want to put your weapons. So I want to have a hand cannon that is going to complement any weapon that I put in my primary slot or my kinetic slot. And I think annual skate will do wonders for that. The minuet, I also think will be another really good one if you have that. I do have a minuet, but I've not really used it. Annual skate, I love that weapon though. So I will always choose annual skate over minuet when it comes to that. But you never know. Weapons do change. They could make other drastic changes to the sandbox before the DLC even releases that we don't even know about yet. Then I talked about Euro's Gift. This is one that you definitely want to bring over. Not going to harp on it too much. Also with the positive outlook, bring that over if you have it. That's another really good weapon. And for sidearms, Last Hope. Last Hope is a really good weapon. Really good. Like if you get close to somebody, you can melt somebody with Last Hope. Everybody knows that was the meta. Might of Multi-Tool, Last Hope, all through the beginning parts of the first season of year 1 of Destiny 2. That was the meta, and some people liked it, some people hated it, but Last Hope definitely is still one of those weapons you want to bring forward with you. You will probably be replacing it, but it's a weapon you want to bring forward. And another weapon I definitely want to make sure I bring up is the Graviton Lance. I mentioned it earlier, but this gun is amazing. Make sure you bring it forward with you. Polaris Lance is a sleeper. I believe this gun is going to do real damage in PvE content when it comes to Forsaken. Just the fact that you can get headshots and just keep getting them and it just refills the magazine is pretty broken. You can shoot forever with that weapon. So definitely get that weapon if you don't have it. It's a lengthy quest line that takes place on Mars to get it, but if you get it, you will enjoy it. So make sure you get that. All right, let's get into this last category. Whisper of the Worm. As you guys can see, this is the only exotic weapon that's on this character right now. And that is mostly just because you don't need another one. This weapon is amazing. Ever since they rolled back how the perk worked for White Nail to what it did in D1 year 1, it's been amazing. Pulling ammo from your reserve sucked. Pulling ammo from just the ether is amazing. And that's what this weapon does now. 3 headshots in a row or 3 critical hits in a row refills that magazine. It's really good. It's very powerful. And if you can get this weapon, you will enjoy it. I think this weapon will help out a lot when it comes to the PvE content that's going to be coming in the game. As long as you are really good with your headshots, you will never run out of ammo with this weapon. It's pretty much just the heavier version and more damage building version of the Polaris Lance, but it just gives you way more damage in bursts than anything else. Really good weapon. Definitely wanted to bring that to your attention. That's why you see it on my character right now. Alone is a God. Dude, I love this weapon. It was one of the very first weapons that gave you like a snapshot when you actually zoomed in super fast and you can like just get on target as fast as you want to. But the reason I really want to keep this weapon is because it's going to the primary slot. This weapon in the primary slot is going to be amazing. And pretty much when it comes to weapons that are moving around, you definitely want to keep those because you want to see how they work in the new meta that's going to be brought to us with these weapons being moved around. So this is one of the snipers that's moving to the kinetic. You also have Shepherd's Watch that's moving up there to the kinetic. You also have Hawthorne's Field Shotgun moving to kinetic. Frigid Jackal, which is probably one of my favorite sniper rifles in the game that I use a lot. And this is moving up there too. You also have the Shotgun Perfect Paradox that I don't have on this character. You also have the Silicon Namora that you get from the Nightfall, and that is going to the kinetic spot too. You got the Belligerent Shotgun that's going up there. So you have a lot of weapons and a lot of different options in that primary slot that used to be heavy. So these weapons, I definitely say keep all of them. They're going to probably do you very well when it comes to that content. We did see how the shotgun perk worked because you only get a mixture of all the ammo that goes into one, but they just spread it across all 3 of them. So you normally start with 2 shots in the shotgun, but since you might be running a 3 shotgun build, your heavy will never get it because you have to pick up ammo for it. But when it comes to your kinetic and your special, or your kinetic and your energy, it splits it from 2 to 1 per round. So you actually get the same amount, but it's across 2 guns. So I think that's going to be real tough for people to do, but I can see people running like a primary shotgun, somebody running probably a secondary sniper rifle, and then they could be using a rocket launcher. So they have long range. They probably are going to suck a little bit in the mid range, but they got that long range tied up. They also have their short game, and they also have something that can do a lot of damage really fast if somebody gets a little too close to them. So I think it's going to be a lot of different things that you could play with when it comes to how these weapons are moving around. And last but not least, I want to talk about how they're moving the Escalation Protocol sniper and shotgun to the secondary spot, and they're locking their elements to solar. And that's mostly just because they want to stop the growing meta of tractor cannon escalation shotgun, because that thing drops its void and it does massive damage, and you could just melt bosses and it breaks in-game content. So that's one of the few things that they're actually nerfing versus giving the players the option to just burn through content as much as you want. I understand why they're doing it. It sucks that they're doing, but hey, that's what they want to do. Next up, we have the curtain call. Reason I put this in there is because the velocity on it is really, really good. It gets to its target really, really fast, way faster than Sins of the Past, because Sins of the Past has a really big blast radius, but it takes a minute for it to get there. So this has a place. You will replace it sooner or later, but I think this is something that for those very fast moving targets, you want to use this one over the Sins of the Past. But this is a really good weapon. That's why I think you should bring it forward. Next, we're going to talk about is the Tarantula. I wanted to bring this over because I believe they did say on stream that linear fusion rifles are getting a buff, and this weapon is going to be no exception to that. It already does really good damage as it is already, and this set to like a void subclass and you're actually using it in strikes will melt enemies. Like, it was like the heaviest damage dealing weapon for a long time until they started changing the archetypes of weapons, and until we got weapons like Darcy with its catalyst and everything. So these weapons, this weapon right here is going to be really, really good. So that's why I think you want to bring it over. Plus, you just want to have the diversity and having something that can combat different weapons and you don't be stuck playing with the same thing. Zenith of Your Kind. This is staying in your heavy slot, and you really just need to have a shotgun that's going to complement every other weapon you have. Most of the shotguns that a lot of people use right now are moving up to your primary slot. This one isn't. Other than Acreus, this is going to be the weapon that you probably want to use when you want to run like that exotic in a different slot, because you can't run double exotics, and that's still a shame, but I can understand why they're doing it. So Zenith of Your Kind, this is probably one of the few shotguns that you want to definitely make sure that you have, that you can use over when Forsaken drops. Now, Main Ingredient is an amazing weapon. It was really good in the beta. It's still really good now. And I think a lot of people really love this weapon. I use this weapon a lot, but not as much as I use snipers at this point now, because I want to get better at sniping, because I know what's happening with the new DLC. I want to know what corners I can actually hit and get a good vantage point of the area when I go into it. So Main Ingredient was a staple in my loadout for a long time, but I haven't really used it as much lately. But a lot of people will swear over this over a shotgun, because you get more ammo and it has a longer distance to cover when it comes to the spread and how the gun reacts and how it shoots. It's pretty good. So you definitely want to make sure you get that. And last but not least, Sins of the Past. Get it from the raid. Really good. Cluster bombs does extra damage to bosses because of the way that the bombs work when they fall, and it's amazing. Like I said earlier, Curtain Call has the same thing. They both have cluster bombs on it, but the only difference is this one covers a wider net when it comes to the blast radius, and this one has more velocity, so it will get to the enemy faster, as my phone just goes off. So guys, that is the video. There are a whole bunch of other weapons that I have not named that are very not needed, but you probably will choose to actually bring over with you. I mean, my Postmaster is not Postmaster, but my inventory is pretty full. So, but there's a lot of weapons in here, like Antio, you could bring that if you want to, Scathe Lock, lots of weapons. So, and the question I want to ask you guys is, what weapons do you agree with that I'm taking over Forsaken? What weapons do you disagree with? If you disagree, what weapon would you replace it with? I want to hear from you down in that comment section. And guys, I appreciate you watching this video all the way through. Definitely takes a little bit of work to actually edit and put this together. So all of the clicks and all of the comments down below and the likes, they go a very long way in making sure that the channel grows. And I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. But guys, thanks for watching this video. Sub to the channel if you haven't, as my phone goes off again. Like this video if you like the content. It definitely helps out the channel a lot. Turn on those notifications, gonna let you know the next time one of my videos go live. It's your boy Gaming Forte. You guys have a great week, and I'm gonna talk to you in the next video. Peace.